Hello and welcome to another Lick of the Week. In this video we're going to be looking at the playing style of Yngwie Malmsteen. In the very first Lick of the Week video I did a few months back, I did a lick similar to something he might do. In this one I want to go a bit further into his style. If you aren't familiar with Yngwie, he is a Swedish guitarist with blisteringly fast techniques including sweep and alternate picking. He is also known for using the harmonic minor scale. As I said in a previous video, I think it's important to have diverse influences because if you only listen to Metallica for example, eventually you will end up sounding like Metallica. And whilst this can be great, especially if you want to play in a tribute band, it can also be limiting. I think it's more difficult to sound original these days, but if you have different influences and fuse them together you will end up sounding different. Yngwie is a great example of this. He was heavily into classical music but also loved Jimi Hendrix and Ritchie Blackmore. His influences ended up becoming a new genre of music, neoclassical, which is essentially classical and metal combined. To sound different is tricky enough, but to invent a new genre of music is quite an achievement. Yngwie may have influenced other musicians to use harmonic minor progressions in their songs to create more of a tense sound. Bands like Avenged Sevenfold use this quite often. Would they have done so without Yngwie doing what he did? Yngwie Johan Malmsteen, born Lars Johan Yngwie Lanneback, but later changed his name to Malmsteen, which was his mother's maiden name, came from a very musical family. Most of his relatives played an instrument. He first got the guitar aged 5, but didn't really play it until he was 7 when Jimi Hendrix died, and then decided to become serious about it. He started his first band aged 10 with a friend from school, which was called Track on Earth. As a teenager, Yngwie used to listen to the band Genesis. Their chord progressions were very classically based, which got him into classical composers Paganini and Bach. During this time, he discovered his most important guitar influence, Ritchie Blackmore. Yngwie used to practice every waking moment, including bus and train journeys. It's no surprise he has such amazing technique. In the early 80s, when Malmsteen was 18, Mike Varney of Shrapnel Records heard a demo of his playing and invited him over to the United States. He played briefly with the band Steeler, playing on part of their self-titled album, and then appeared with Graham Bonnet of Alcatraz, playing on their debut album No Parole from Rock and Roll. He also played on their live album Live Sentence. In 1984, Yngwie released his first solo album Rising Force, featuring Barry Barlow of Jethro Tull on drums and Jens Johansson on keyboards. It was meant to be a side instrumental project but featured vocals by Jeff Scott Soto. Malmsteen left Alcatraz shortly after its release. To date, he has now released 20 studio albums. He met Ronnie James Dio when he first went to America and became great friends with him. They did a cover of Dream On by Aerosmith featuring Stu Hamm on bass and Greg Bissonette on drums. Yngwie loves Fender Stratocasters and has quite a collection. He has a signature model which features scalloped frets, which not many other guitars have. He also loves Marshall amplifiers and has a wall when he plays live. I think there are 34 altogether. This week's lick is very similar to some of Yngwie's signature licks. As I said earlier in the video, he uses the harmonic minor scale a lot. The scale is actually only one note different from a natural minor scale. It has a major 7 instead of a flattened or minor 7. If you harmonise the scale to 7th chords, the chords you get are minor major 7, minor 7 flat 5, major 7 sharp 5, minor 7, dominant 7, major 7 and diminished 7. Like Guns N' Roses and many others, Yngwie tunes his guitar down a half step or semitone so that all his strings are one note lower. E flat, A flat, D flat, etc. I've done the same for this too. You might want to retune your guitar if you like to play along to the lick. Anyway, that's enough theory. Here's the lick at full speed. How did you find the lick? Yngwie uses very light strings on the top and slightly heavier strings on the bottom, and as he tunes his guitar down this makes it slightly easier as there isn't as much tension. Of course I'm not saying what Yngwie does is easy by any means, but if you're using heavier gauge strings you might find his techniques harder. I hope you can use this lick in your playing. If you enjoyed the video please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already for new licks and backing tracks every week. That's all for now, thanks for watching, see you next time.